fan over here to shush. So let me see if I can do that. Let me see if I can get it to shushy. Oh, here we go. We shushed it. How's it going, everybody? Are we doing well? Are we feeling well? Uh, I'm doing okay. I'm feeling okay. I have an annoying little new sidekick. It's a wound vac, is what it's called. So I have to move around with this, but I can move around even though I've got my. Let me show you here. I've got my. I'm kind of mobile today, but I have my whole leg in this soft cast contraption, my foot, and with a little thing that then I have to wear this lovely little man purse that needs recharging all the time. Is always beeping at me. So if you hear beeping or you hear pumps and whirling and that kind of stuff, it's all this in here, right here, this thing. See, it keeps a vacuum on my foot, which is pretty cool. Um, that's kind of fun. So I'm actually able to now walk on the foot. Officially, am I supposed to be walking on it for more than a few moments or a few minutes? No, but I can at least, I can put a little bit of weight on it and keep my weight on my other foot, and we'll be all right. So, how's everybody doing? Are we doing good? This shows you what a lazy bum I am. Of course, like what was it? 4 weeks ago, I said, guys, I'm ready to send out cuttings from my aquarium, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I've got all these high-minded plans. Well, yeah, now my aquariums are just completely overgrown. So I need to obviously trim all these things and all of that jazz. You know what's awesome and wonderful is that I do 100% for sure still have my giant betta in here. So Rasbo, or Bob, as he was dubbed when I was going to the emergency room last year, or ICU rather, as I didn't know at the time, but the ambulance driver made sure that that was the question, was like, what year is it, who's the president, what state are you in, what's your name, oh, and what's your pet's name. And at the time we didn't have the lovely Sumi, who's right here causing problems in the window, killing all of our begonias, killing all of our plants. We have two plants left, like one very sad plant and two definitely dead plants. This poor begonia. The cat has just chewed on it so badly that it will never live again. My wife has to place flowers. These are real at least, but the cat will still try to get to them too. And then we'll hop up here. And I was just pulling out floating, some of the floating plant material that was in this aquarium because it grows so fast. It's a mix of Wolfia and it's a mix of redroot floaters and Salvinia. And I guess there's probably some duckweed in here, as much as I don't want it to be in here. I bet you there's some. Although there may be something, you guys, there may be something we can learn, because look at this. Like, here is one. No, that's not even duckweed. Actually, I take back what I just said. I did put duckweed in here the other day, and there is not any in here now. So something in here, one of these floating plants, I would have to guess, is outcompeting duckweed. How is it doing it? Is it doing it by making it to the top of the water faster than the other plants? Or maybe like see this uplift here? Maybe it's pushing up. I don't know. This Wolfia has purple on the bottom, and these thick roots that will actually push it up out of the water like this. And maybe it's able to kind of sink. Actually, that's my new theory. Let's see. Are these duckweed? This might be a real duckweed here. That is duckweed. So I bet you, exactly like I was just saying, the Wolfia is able to kind of climb over the duckweed. I don't think it's a chemical thing. I think it's literally, yeah, see that? See how it kind of traps it? You can literally just take a piece of Wolfia and you can see other pieces of Wolfia here or Salvinia that have trapped duckweed in their, look at that, they trap them down below underneath in their roots. So that's interesting to me. I don't know. I'd never noticed that before. This is just something I noticed while hopping on here with you guys. Also, my Logonandra meboldi, love this plant and everything, but in this tank, the snails are just killing it. And you know, I used to say snails only eat stuff that is already rotten, but the problem is that snails, that's true with a lot of snails, and they mostly eat what's only rotten, but all it takes is a pinhole or a spot where a fish or some sort of little injury to the plant, or maybe when I was cleaning I nicked the plant and there's a hole like this, and then when that hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger, the critters, the snails, the water slugs start chewing on it, and you can see they really are chewing on some of this stuff in here. But there's also shrimp in here, and there's autosynclus. I don't know if the autosynclus have any thing to do with that, but you can see that even on the narrow leaf Madagascarensis, Aponogeton, it has these kind of little holes, even though it's totally green right here. This leaf is yellow, but because it's dying, not because of nutrients. All right, let me look at the chat here, guys. I'll set you up in front of the other tank for a moment, and let me see what's going on over in the chat world. See how we're doing over there in chat land. It's chat land. Digga 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 bee bop 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 boop. Logonander is a sensitive soul. I know, Stephen P. Tell me about it, man. I've had this Logonandra Silver Princess here. I've had it come and go, its foliage, for since 2017 at the AGA. And I have gotten cuttings that have died back. Me and Alan Bauer, he bought, I think for $200 from Diane Wallstead. No, Crystal Castleman is who it was. This plant originally. By the way, I want to show you guys something special, my little secret here. Not so much of a secret because I'm sharing it on YouTube, but the Kabamba salzmani crossed with the Kabamba colorata made a large, it's growing. The seeds that I planted last year have grown this year, and you can see it growing here, and boy does it look different than the salzmani or the actual colorata. So the colorata has a nice light pink hue to it when it's under light, and then the Bacopa monieri, which is the most common Bacopa and the one that I have everywhere, is more like this stuff over here, bright green. Here is the colorata. You can see there's more pink and purple to it. Let me show you better. Salzmani. Here's some salzmani that hasn't been under high light. The CO2 hasn't been pumping away on it, but it has purple when you look at it. It's way more purple. This one just, I'm apparently not a very good grower of purple right now on it. But yeah, the mix of the two is very big leaves that I pollinated the flowers of. Very big leaves, even underwater, fully submerged, and a nice kind of reddish purple hue to it, almost like an auburn color. If you look underwater, it's less impressive actually at an oblique angle. Here you can see, you're like, oh, it's kind of pink, purpley, kind of. But from above, you can really see here that, so when we look at it right dead on too, it's more impressively purple or bronzy, I guess, compared to, let me find you a normal piece of Bacopa caroliniana or something like that around here. With the light glare, it's hard to even see anything right now for me. You guys might be staring right at it and be like, Alex, it's right there. Oh, right here, yes, right in front of my freaking face. The colorata, when no CO2 is added, isn't so pink. It's just kind of light green with a little hue of pink, and then the Caroliniana is more of a rounded, with bright green. Anyways, so there's that. But yeah, the Logonandra in here, Steven, this is the Logonandra. We've got the Meboldi red or pink. It might have been pink once upon a time. The Silver Queen or White Powder Queen. And look at this. It's so unhealthy right now. There's only really 2 leaves on it, and I just trimmed the other healthy leaves, and then the freaking snails chewed away at these. So the lesson of the day for me there was, yeah, just leave 1 or 2 chewed up leaves on every plant. Because look at this. Like, it's a beautiful red color. From some angles, this is like just electric, metallic red that I wish I could show you guys in real life. It is so red and so cool looking. And then from other angles, it's actually got green, like a dusty green to it. And from across the room, it's kind of a bronze. It's a very odd and very kind of special looking plant. But yes, as Steven said, it's a pretty delicate one. It's a weird one. It'll either do amazing or it'll just fall apart on you. And over here, this was the beautiful how do you say it? Blossi, Cryptocorn blossi. I don't know how you say that, but it's the pretty one. It's a pretty one. And then we've got the Rosen Maiden narrow leaf over there to cap those out. Now, Stephen P and I have been talking, and I said forever ago, and he did his part, and I just put it off. He did his part, and basically, he sent me 5 of his favorite plants to talk about, and I said I want the aflame, and I want this one, well, now it's changed its name again. That's a whole other drama. So this is probably going to be like, how do you say it? Lyshemia. Is it going to be Samilus or Parviflora? I forget. You're probably saying it right now in the chat. But anyways, it's got a new name. The Samulus parvulus or whatever. Parviflora Samulus one has a new name, or is gonna get it any day now. I don't know. It's been decided. Whatever. So that's standing out really nicely in that tank. But yeah, forever ago, like months ago, I told him like, let's do a collaboration, and then I said pick out some plants, and I said don't pick out those 2. I just put them in my aquascape, and I really want to use them. And he's like, no problem, buddy. Like a totally rad dude he is. And I've had them in this tank, and they're actually, they're doing pretty good. The shrimpy, the Malawa shrimp are my magic cleaners in here. That was what ended up being my trouble in this tank, was that for a while there was just algae constantly. And there were a number of things going on, but one was I don't like doing water changes. You guys know that. I just like letting the water top itself off. And some of the plants are fairly slow growing that are in here, like Boos, like all this moss that had to graft onto these rocks last year. And then I literally pulled up a lot of the moss because of the algae it was causing. Uh-oh, guys. So we have a guest. Not so much a guest as cat. She just climbed up on my shoulders in order to get near the fishies. Didn't you? But we have to get you away from the fishies, because I know you love the fishies because they're so delicious. Gotta have fishes. Sorry guys, we're coming down. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Are you mad at me for stealing you away from the aquarium? Okay. Say hi to everybody, Sumi. Sumi, say hi. Say hi, baby girl. You're just climbing all over my back, being a little acrobatic cat, and now you're saying, no, I don't care. No, cat butt sensor. How is it going, guys? Josh S., Robert Bennett, JK, Craig, Craig's Catfish Cave. What's going on? So the other thing I was going to tell you guys is that I am hoping to do 2 species spotlights, but I have some interesting, I don't know, information, hunches. Let's call them hunches. I got bunches of hunches. We can go back to looking at the aquariums. Y'all know what I look like. But I got hunches. Look at it. The cat's freaking following me. Like, I don't want to go into the living room. That's not... Whatever, cat. Zombie Cat, what's going on? Good to see you. JK and Xi Jinping, what's going on? It's great to have you here, Winnie. Pooh Bear, as it were. Sorry, had to count myself. I was just trying not to also step on the water that's over here, unfortunately, because that'll mess up this whole contraption I have here that I showed at the beginning of the stream. I got a wound vacuum for my leg. That's why I'm not in the wheelchair anymore, is now I have a soft cast that I can stand and move with the splint in it, and carbon fiber on the bottom of my foot. I kid you not. And then I have like a saran wrap bag basically over my foot. Kind of wild. Syngonanthus Society, what's going on? Claire H, what's going on? Good to see you guys. Cara C, what's going on? Ooh, storm going over. I miss thunderstorms so bad. How do you clean that tank with all the plants in it? I don't clean the tank, Joey. So that is a very interesting question. And really it comes down to my entire philosophy, fish keeping the last decade. It went from keep fish, keep plants, they're beautiful, keep them high tech. And then it looks like I'm drooling, but it's just shininess, lip gloss from Burt's Bees. But then I changed when I became disabled and couldn't carry weight anymore. And I got hit by the lightning years ago, and then I have the lupus, which is a degenerative disease. So I couldn't do all the big weight water changes I used to do with the buckets. So everything has changed, and if you take a look at my tanks, they've changed to very, very full nature tanks. Granted, this all needs a trim right now, and I can trim down all the stem plants, no problem. These ones, they're a little trickier to deal with, and I'll have to go in some detail when I do deal with all that and split them up and resize them. But the idea behind most of my tanks is that my nitrogen is dealt with by immersed plants if it's a large enough tank, and floating plants and stem plants if it's a smaller tank. And beyond all that, ideally, all of my aquariums also have room for long-term anoxic zoning to go on. And that goes on. You can watch whole bunches of videos on all of this stuff. We don't really have good... Okay, guys, look at this. Again, the cat is... I lean over to film the aquarium, and I have a little parrot cat who just jumps on my back. Sumi, what? You just want the plants up there. Watch this. Watch her just go. Watch her. She's probably gonna jump. She'll jump this like 4-foot gap just to get plants. Sumi, are you not gonna do it now? Really? Oh, she's gonna use the rim of the aquarium. Look at this. Look at this. And then she's going to step onto the light. Or she's going to get stuck in between the two. Nope, she figured it out. But after all that hard work, kitty cat, I'm going to have to remove you. Because all you ever do is you destroy all my plants. And she can't get up there because she's scared to jump. She knows what happens when she takes a leap of faith and jumps onto these giant leaves that she thinks are safe, onto my hybridized giant, look at these leaves, guys. If you guys want to know the channel, you know this plant has been out of control for quite some time, but this is the cophifolia mixed with the Anubias, oh, now I'm gonna forget the name. Is it not fluval? Is it fluvalis? Man, now my brain is totally, I'm having a, what do you call that? Just a brain fart. I can't think of the other, Fraseri, sorry guys. So Cophifolia and Fraseri Anubias, I cross-pollinated. Here's the Fraseri on its own, as big as it can get, the same age. It's actually older than the other plant. And then the Cophifolia is still over here. There's still a few leaves of it. And it has these real pronounced ridges, these. It's not super healthy, this one. It's just been kind of living in the tank. But when you put them together, neither of them, look at this, neither of them have any more than just a little side ridge here at the base of the leaf, at the spear-pointed leaf. But when you hybridize them, they get these ginormous bunny ears. Isn't that weird? Ginormous bunny ears. So anyways, they're technically the same species, I believe, of Anubias. They're just different cultivars, and so that makes it even weirder. So it's like, what genes are dormant? Hey, you're going to try it again. No. So anyways, my tanks. So I use down in the aqua soil layers that in theory get deposited as mulm. So all the leaves and litter kind of get filtered through this layer right here. And I have isotopes. There are isotopes in there, I bet. No, there's isopods in here that work with planaria, paramecia, all the little buggers, including the snails that are putting pinholes in my Logonandra that I just complained about. They're doing all the hard work and breaking down anything major sized that's in here. And break it down, they do. Here you can actually see some detritus worms and maybe a planaria. Maybe it's just roots, I can't tell, next to the shrimp. And there's seed shrimp. There's all sorts of stuff. But I don't really clean very often. Maybe once every 6 months to a year, I'll take a gravel vac and I'll pull the fluffiest, lightest of the mulm away from it. But I always keep these stem plants rooted in the soil on my tanks that are large enough. Let me give you the breakdown of this. Maybe I should do a video on literally spelling this out for anybody who's new to the channel too. But I have my substrate here, and then it has grown from about yay big when I started this tank 10 years ago to, on the far sides in the back, it is probably 8 or 9 inches deep in the very back. It's sloped up. But even in the front corners, it slopes a bit, and you can see where I've been kind of building up substrate. And you can see also, hold on, let me turn on a light here for you. So here you can also see, hopefully, let me see here, the different colors in the substrate, the different layers. And if you guys have watched my videos on lasagna method, it's not like a quote-unquote scientific method. It's not someone's method. It's just what happens in nature. It's just stratification of soil, bacteria, earth, and minerals, and the density of the ingredients that make up your aquarium. So over time, all that has built up and fallen down. So if I see big things, I take out a good number of plants. I trim my plants. I take out some of the floating plants every so often. And then I'll put them up top, let them dry out, and I'll grind them up, and I'll either feed them to like swordtails or less picky fish, fish if I have them outside or something, or whatever, and or toss them, put them in the compost, whatever it may be. But I usually let them dry out when they're not in a seeding or vegetative state that could be invasive anywhere. And then we do have filtration in this tank. It used to be sizable. Now it is extremely limited just by the nature of me neglecting it. And I have nothing against cleaning it, and I will again at some point. But the thing is, my biggest fish in here right now is my betta. Right now, these are all tiny little tetras and live bearers, and That's about it. There's no big plecos or anything in here. There's a couple baby plecos in here. This filter is just staying cycled. It's just wet and on low. But the outflow, if we can show it, is back here. And it's turned against the glass. And it's not much flow whatsoever. That much. It's not really a lot for a 60-gallon aquarium. So, I mean, it's enough that it keeps the water somewhat oxygenated. It runs the bacteria a few times a day. I'd say probably 2 or 3 times a day through the entire system, which is better than nothing. But it's really almost not a filter in the sense that people, why you'd go out and buy a good filter and all the things you'd want it to do and how many gallons an hour you'd want it to turn over. And that's also the case with pretty much all my tanks right now. They're not heavy on the filter side. They're heavy on me figuring out how to keep them as, zero nitrates, zero nitrites, zero ammonia. Here, guys, right up close for you is one of the newer gold belly panda loaches. I say that, I've had them over a year now. But they're the ones with the stripes going the long way instead of the way on their body. And what's interesting is my other panda loaches actually look pretty similar to these now that they're grown, but they have like a woven pattern, and I'll see if we can find one while we're out here, sitting here. And that's like a pretty obvious pattern, like this woven chain link fence pattern. But these ones, they actually maintain a solid black line down the entire body, and you can keep track of which ones were which that way. So it will be its own distinct species, and I know for a fact that that's like what's going to happen. The other thing that's really blown me away in this tank is, look at this. We saw them last time, but look at these red malawas. So in my other tanks, my malawas, I've always worked towards the blue color because that was the color that I loved the most in Neocaridina. So for 9 years, I worked on that. Well, I got some pretty blue shrimp in the context that I kept them at the exact neutral pH, right around 6.8, 7.0, low TDS, and they were in a planted tank. They would then stay that way, and they looked lovely. Well, as soon as I sold them to people who lived in other parts of the country, they're like, hey, they just went back to kind of a clearish blue. They're not really spectacular. They're not even as blue as when you sold them to me in the bag. And some of them, even like the next generation, didn't seem to express much blue at all, unless they were put in tanks very similar to the chemistry of mine. So the Malawa shrimp seem to actually either have anthocyanins in them, which means that the pH dictates the blue to red spectrum, which it would be very interesting if that's the case, because that's very unusual, and it's only the case in a few different rare fish species, because usually red is a carotenoid sparked color pigmentation, and blue is iridophores, or actually a trick of light. Almost never is blue the actual pigment in the organism, and I go over fish vision and fish color, how fish see color in a couple videos, and I go over all that in a lot of detail if you're more curious about that. But anyways, so here's another one of those longer panda loaches, coming up on probably 2 years old, I would guess. And then up here you can see, look at all these malawas. So what's interesting is, even with just this density of plants, which for me, yes, this is some plant density, but it's nothing like as dense as this tank, right? Where it's literally like a gourami paradise tangle of layers of roots, and then there's layers to swim under the roots, right? That's like insanity level of roots, and then we got all the stem plants here. Well, this is kind of not exactly that setup. It's more short plants and some stem plants right in the front, some stem plants right in the back, Rotala rotundifolia, mini butterfly, and mini pearl here that is growing immersed at this point, some bacopa, some ludwigia, and then again the metallic red corkscrew Val. And that's really it. Well, in the corkscrew Val seems to be the perfect nursery for these baby Malawa shrimp, and they reproduce at a stunningly fast pace back in this dense Valsinaria. Now, I have not touched these bottles. You can probably go back 2 years and see how much I've used of these. This is the nitrogen from ADA. Never use that anymore. And then I have, because I was trying it for a while, way back, Easy Potassium. That's still totally full. And then I have the 2-hour Aquarist, which I've been trying out in another tank in the other room, and I kind of want to try it in here. But if I'm going to do that, it's Dennis Wong's creation, or Zhizhang Wang. I hope that's how you say his name in Chinese. But anyways, he's a brilliant guy. He runs the 2-hour Aquarist website. And I've been chatting with him, and he set the nutrients of this plant to Florida Rotala, Ramosia, or Rosenbig. And look at how red that Malua is. See, can we... Oh, it ran away. It's right under here now. Come here. See if I can get it to come more towards the camera again. Look at it. Oh, look at that. Look how red that Malua is. It is... It's redder than... I mean, it's redder than these Rasboras are pink or anything. Very odd. I'm very surprised at how red some of them are getting. Anyways, as I said, I think their color change, like I said, is not so gene oriented, and I think it may be anthocyanin, and it might be there's no blue in here because this tank is on the 7.2 pH side, even when I run CO2. So it's because I added a lot of crushed coral when I made this tank, thinking that I was going to be emulating Southeast Asia. So, kind of wild. Let me get down to some of the other questions, make sure I didn't get any super chats or anything like that that I missed. I would feel like a big old jerk. But hold on, I gotta sit down, guys, just because I'm with this wound thing. Oof, I'm struggling to keep going and focusing and everything. All right, let's see here. So, let's see, who's in here still? I'll say hi to those who came through just now. William Letty. So, Jesus Crisco, what's up? Does anyone else have leopard ram's horn snail from their orange? Yeah, the leopard will happen in any of the darker brown, bronze, or gold pigmentation ram's horns. I just got duckweed on my forehead, on my... Oh, well, whatever. Are pandaloches safe with inverts? They will eat brand new baby snails, like ram's horn snails, and so will small loaches, rosy loaches, so will the rasboras, for that matter. Even like a chili rasbora will eat a brand new baby shrimp if it sees it in its first few weeks. The answer to that, though, is don't let it see them. Give them enough hiding places, like a thicket of plants, where they just don't even go. If you get a good 6 inches of dense underbrush, there are a lot of fish that will just not go there unless they're chased into there by a scary fish or something. Like, there's no reason they'll go there. Darbwire, what's up? Elaine says, I'm changing to my first dirted tank. Can I leave some old substrate for fertilizer and cover it with organic potting soil and sand or gravel? How much would it be? So that is a big question, Elaine. If you're starting a tank like that, I would not personally use potting soil. I only use potting soil and active aqua soils. So things like ADA, Amazonia Original that has nitrogen, nitrates, nitrites, ammonia in it. It leaches those for the first 4 to 6 weeks when you soak it in an aquarium. And that actually helps your beneficial bacteria cycle. But until that cycle is built up, you don't have enough of the right bacteria to eat each thing. And so you have to first get the ammonia-eating bacteria that turns it into nitrites, then the nitrite-eating bacteria that turns it into nitrates. Then the nitrite bacteria needs to drastically fall in population as the ammonia eating stuff drastically reduces as well. And there's kind of what we call an inversion in the colony sizes. And so that means that whatever amount of food you're feeding your fish, whatever fertilizer is leaching from your active substrate, like organic soils, like nitrogen enriched soils and substrates or root tabs, that leaches slowly into the water. And that bacteria then figures out, and that's when a tank is stable and cycled, is when it has figured out with 20 tetras and a pleco and whatever your load of fish is, when it can handle that at a daily basis, and it can take that much nitrogen in the form of ammonia, turn it into nitrites, then into nitrates, it should in time have zero nitrites, low nitrates, and zero ammonia. So you'll see that in your testing. But if you add active substrate or soil all over again to that, you're basically starting that cycle from the start. Now, if you use something like fluval stratum, Brightwell, or neutral sand, gravel, whatever it may be, you are then actually not introducing more nitrogen, and you won't disturb that cycle. But if you're gonna disturb that cycle, and you're going to add something new to the aquarium with nitrogen, like organic potting soil or compost or anything like that, I would honestly recommend that you either do it from the start, or that you check out my videos on how to replace existing substrate, because I suggest you don't do it more than 1/8 of the entire aquarium substrate, surface area wise, at a time per week, which is a commitment. That means 6 to 8 weeks. Every 4 to 8 days, ideally, you're taking 1/16 to 1/8 of the surface area. You're taking out chunks with like a lasagna spatula or something, moving that out, and inevitably that's going to kick up ammonia. That's going to kick up nitrates, nitrites, stuff that has built up in your substrate. And there's both nasty bacterial stuff as well as like really great bacteria. But there's just lots of fungi, bacteria, archaea, whatever in your substrate. It's fine when it has been deposited there and is layered on top of, and over time it develops what we call a cap, or it becomes devoid of oxygen, so only certain bacteria grows there. But as soon as you change any environment in your aquarium, you're basically resetting the Etch-a-Sketch. You're kind of giving a blank slate to all the bacteria. And when you give, it's like if you did an Etch-a-Sketch, do you want to start with all black and erase everything but what you want with those knobs? Or do you want to draw the line all over again? And sometimes it's easier just to restart the tank rather than to try to chip away all the magnet stuff and get back to where the picture you had wanted. It's a really weird metaphor, but I hope you see what I'm saying. All right, let's see here. I like that we're getting some folks that we normally wouldn't get in here just as we're hanging out. Johnny, thank you so much. I see those memberships you've gifted. Really appreciate that. Did you just... Someone else just gave memberships too, but Johnny Best, thank you, buddy. Also, Waffling Bog, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm here with you guys in the chat now. I'm sorry if I missed your comments earlier. I just know, like, now that we got near 100 of us in here, we'll be okay to chatting amongst ourselves and talking about aquariums a bit, right? But before we got to that point, I wanted to kind of look at the tanks, and I kind of lost track of the chat. But also Paulo Marcondes, thank you so much for the gifted memberships, and welcome aboard anybody who's new to the channel. Go to the community playlist, go to the podcast or audio friendly playlists. They are now no longer short little playlists for you guys with like 80 videos. You should have like 300 or 400 videos in the big one now if you're a member. Even if you were gifted a membership, you'll get access to that. You can also chat amongst and watch any streams that were just for members that are in the archive. And I'm going to be doing more of that, continuing more of that in the future, where we just sit like this. And that way, everybody who's a member even if it's $1.99, you guys will get access to ask me questions. Because it used to be that on this channel I could get to every comment in 4 hours a day, but that's just not the way things are. It's not the way the ball is rolling anymore. Let's see here. Uncle Joe's fish shed. Oh, Asya, what's going on? She's here for the weird metaphors. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Uncle Joe's fish shed. I have people ask about stratum and why it gets kind of mushy or slimy when used with other substrates. I've never experimented with this. Can you think of a reason in response? Yes. So stratum, Fluval stratum is a cheap replacement for Amazonia, or ADA's flagship and first true aquarium aqua soil. That stuff is all based on the concept behind akadama, or basically bonsai and hydroponic growing clay pellets. And the idea behind that originally was, first, let's grow plants in just water. So we'll just put nutrients in the water and ignore the fish part. We're talking crops and, plants. Actually, that's where a lot of this started, was with the Mary and her friend Jane, and those people that wanted to grow really, really incredible fruiting bodies and vegetative cycles and fruiting cycles in the plants. They pushed this tech very far forward very quickly, and same with plant genetics. So you got to give a tip of your hat, even if you don't like the stuff or don't have anything to do with it. But that stuff they worked out in the hydroponic growing. Also in the 70s, 60s and 70s, they did a lot of work with sustainability, with the space program, and like how to grow things in the small space. And it's, you need the nutrients, you need the light, you need some sort of place to put the roots of the plant so that it has structure of some sort. Otherwise, you're growing it in a petri dish, which they figured out, and they do that in other ways now. But when they're growing plants in the normal plant growing cycle, they used clay pellets that basically could absorb that nutrients over time. And the way it did that was, it was volcanic ash in akadama and in other bonsai clay beads that you see in the base of like a bonsai tree that's very shallow for the roots of such a little, a nice plant. In many cases, but they can then be washed. Like the water can wash through it, and you can put nutrients in that and either soak it and then pull the plug and have all those nutrients fall out, so the plant can feed for a little while and then it can be released, or the plant can be flushed, as we call it in other processes. So you can flush the plant with nitrogen, for instance. Oh, guys, the betta has shown up for the first time on a live stream of course it's not going to let me zoom in very well. Hold on, guys. Let's see here. For the first time in how many years? Right in the center, blue. She's going to run, or he's going to run. It's Bob, the betta. He's a giant blue betta. Oh, he already knows I'm coming. Man, he's tricky. But he's in there, and he's right in the middle. And I'm going to try to get you guys close without me scaring him as much, but I bet he'll still sense me. He's been so shy ever since I got carted off by the ambulance. I have no idea how he could have any idea what was going on that day. But look at him. He's like a good 4 or 5 inches of beautiful betta. I love him. And he has purple on him and green, like a turquoise on his skirt, and a purple on his other lower fins. And then, like, he's really come into himself with the royal blue. And that was the second color phase. He was pink and kind of like a pinkish lavender and a greenish color when I first got him, like a kind of a turquoise green. And then he went to the bluer side of things, and now he's blue and purple and aquamarine kind of palette, with the blue being the biggest color. Anyways, so yeah, so the akadama soil that's used is just a clay sphere. Those clay spheres then suck up all the nutrients that you're putting in liquid form. So when you have nutrients for your aquarium, just like squirt bottle nutrients, or if it's even root tabs that are dissolving into your aqua soil, or into your aquarium's water column, your plants are feeding from the roots in between those clay beads. Well, the outside of those clay beads was then engineered for the aquarium. And the question was, well, on land, tree roots and bushes, which is what bonsai is focused with using usually, they are okay to be in ambient atmospheric air. They are also okay, the plants, to be in daylight and all that stuff. Underwater plants have a whole different set of problems and a hard time adapting to the CO2, the oxygen, respiration, transpiration, humidity, all these different things. And so underwater, they need a different way to hold on and a different way to source some of those nutrients that are as simple as like oxygen bubbles. And one of the main ways is surface area and the sliminess or the earthiness that you get on the outside of your fluval stratum. It doesn't come like that immediately. It's actually nutrients feeding very simple amino acids and building blocks of life, including just plain nutrients, but it creates a biofilm. And so what's beautifully designed that we didn't even realize until Tom Barr and a number of other aquarists, he does the Barr Report is the name of his website, but he's a PhD in environmental ecology and aquatic botany. And he is literally the guy writing the textbook on aquatic botany right now. He's working on a true textbook for that because there isn't one. There's literally guidebooks, but there's not like, this is how it all works in aquatic plants, because it's totally different when the plant is completely underwater, completely above water, or halfway, and whether the plant was designed to be that way, to be the other way, or to be the third way. So there's 3 different ways it could be, and there's 3 different ways that it could be subjected to being. So it ends up being quite a few combos of the main categories that plants even have. Then within that, there's different types of photosynthesis. There's different symbiotic relationships where they get different nutrients from the roots, from fungi, from bacteria, and they get their nitrogen by working together in these relationships. But getting back to the feeling, the sliminess of aqua soil, and specifically with fluval stratum, it is the nutrient. It's the overabundance of nutrients. And newer people who are not growing with blasting CO2 and blasting high light, and I'm talking way more than I have here. I'm talking with like diffusers and a lot of CO2 in like a little tank, like blasting like a whole bunch of CO2 into this little tank. That will then use up all the nutrients in the water, right? Because the plants can grow that fast. However, when the plants don't have enough CO2, or they can't do enough exchange, or they don't have enough light, whatever the problem is, if they don't look like the aquascapes in the book, basically, those plants are not living optimally. Now, are they going to live? Do they need to live optimally? No. Is that, when I say optimally, do I mean that's good, and if you don't have them that way, you're bad? Like, if a plant can be pink, it must be pink, or you're a bad plant haver grower? No. If it's all your plants are green, that could be just fine, even if they could all be different colors of the rainbow. But optimally growing means that that's what it can do. Those are the palettes it has under extreme light, extreme CO2, and extreme nutrient-heavy regimens. And so when we give them what they could use, the plants can't use it all in most cases, or only some plants can. The fish will get poisoned if you have it too high, if you have fish in the tank. But in either case, then the leftover nutrients, whatever that may be, say you have 200 milligrams, 200 parts per million magnesium, 500 parts per million of iron. Well, maybe you only are using 300 parts per million of the iron and 180. So you got 20 milligrams of magnesium and 200 milligrams of iron or whatever left over every day. Well, over time, micro ecosystems, and what's so cool is that ties right into what we were just happened to be looking at earlier my aquarium stratification here, all of that turns into these micro ecosystems. And in Amazon Substrate by ADA, Amazonia rather, and in Fluval Stratum, and in Brightwell, and all these different brands have different properties, different sizes of spheres, different ratios. But if you look over here, here's some stratum, Fluval Stratum. In here is the lighter color brown, and the darker is the ADA. And you can see that the spheres aren't quite the same size. They're not even quite the same texture. They get different bacteria on them. They get different slime coats and film on them. And just like your filter in your aquarium, anything with surface area that is in oxygen-rich water that has any amount of flow, and we're talking like these shrimp are enough movement that means there's flow. We're talking that a temperature difference of 0.5 degree Fahrenheit from here to here in the day is enough to give some degree of flow. So barely any is needed. Doesn't even mean you need a filter. Could just be in a fishbowl. You'll still get a slime. You'll still get a feeling or a film that may grow on the glass too. Well, that's from the ambient growth just in the water on its own. Then when you add a surface area, you can have all sorts of different compounds and molecules that make up that outer layer of the pellet. And when they were designing plants to hold on to these pellets and to feed from these pellets, what the plants do is they get into those pellets and they burst them. See that? See how they go in? They wrap around it and they burst it, and they crumble into humus or soil with the outside layer that's light, fluffy, and designed to be rich in bacteria that is like the bacteria in the rest of the aquarium. And what's even more insane, if you get really into the science of it, the stuff that grows deep under substrate, so under your rust layer, which is usually as far as your soil has oxygenated. So here the oxygen reaches where the orange and red was, and the bacteria that ate the iron died, and then their body oxygenated. So the concentration of iron over years and years gets bigger and bigger, and in these striped bands of different yellow and orange. Well, anything below that has less oxygen or no oxygen, and all those same minerals and bacteria do something completely different. And when Tom Barr looked at the science of the density of the spheres of these pellets, he found that the size of the sphere and the fact that they're made of a hard clay center and a fluffy outside dirt, that's why they cost so much. Not that that's like super high tech, but that means they have to make a little smaller clay sphere, and then they have to wrap that in a humus or soil, a nutrient-rich, oxygenated and organic compound-filled outer soil. And the center clay center that's volcanic ash and clay, that actually has no oxygen until the plant root comes in and bursts it. But in the 6 months it's sitting here in your aquarium hanging out, that slimy layer takes all the good bacteria that's on the outside, and it passes off some of the ammonia in the form of nitrates off to the interior. And it converts the exact opposite way of everything we just talked about. So all your aquarium cycle you've ever learned in your life, the ammonia going to nitrite, going to nitrate, that goes backwards when it's no oxygen in the environment. So the bacteria in the other environment, as long as they have iron and sulfur, they can grow, and a little bit of nickel. They can go all the way with no oxygen being available. They go from nitrate to nitrite to ammonia again. And so at a tiny, tiny level, they do that. And the center of each pellet, then, of all your aqua soil, becomes like a little root tab or a little battery with nutrients in it. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that cool as hell? I think it's super cool. So it means that over time, all these little pellets, if you're using those, that's what you're paying for. Now, did they know that that actually happened? They didn't for a while. It took people like Tom Barr to do science, to do, hold on guys, I don't want you to hear my phone beeping if you're hearing that. I shouldn't be hearing it, but I don't know what mode it's going to be in on here. Let's see here. Can I go try that? See if you guys, see if that gets rid of it. So yeah, pretty amazing. They did the research and they studied under really crazy conditions at universities that we could never test in our aquariums, honestly. So it's so cool that somebody funded the work of doing that. But they really did that in order to help agriculture and to help business that grows plants, to help the industry that spends billions of dollars growing plants, and aquaculture and hydroponics of growing the plants, not for really people growing aquariums. And sorry guys, let me just grab something to sip here. I get, when I'm standing and I'm excited and spending my time with you, I kind of get carried away and I forget that I have the injury that I have a lot of times, and I get in a lot of pain, and so I get shaky and sweaty. But again, if you missed it, I'm standing again, so that's some celebration. Let me show you real quick. I'm standing again, and I've got this wound vac drain thing, and then a soft cast, and then a little plate that sits on the bottom of my foot, and a shunt, and then this little robot that pumps all the air out of the wound so that hopefully all the air and pressure isn't in there and it doesn't build up, and hopefully I can have a sterile heal, because I'm on medications that make it so I don't heal when I'm being treated with stuff, and so it keeps getting also infected because it can't heal, and it also causes me to retain water being on all those antibiotics, or on the steroids. Anyways, there, I ran through it all as fast as I could, all the normal things that people are like, shut up, we don't care about it. Let me try to catch some more questions from y'all. JK, thank you so much for that $9.99 super chat. You are one of the lovely folks keeping the lights on here. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. Let me take this off and set this down for a sec. Let me get my stool, and not to get too gross, but my stool softener. Get it? No? All right. Well, my stool and my stool softener for my knee, so I can elevate that a little more than putting weight on it, because it's starting to hurt. Hurt so good. All right, let's see here. Fish Dad, what's going on? Pale Stripe, what's going on? You finally made it to a live. You never get the notifications. So I did this live a little different. That's why it's in this format, and I'm kind of on the go and things are shaky and stuff. It's because if you do it in this format, it alerts people differently. And here's the first Dr. Pepper of the night. I saved the cherry ones for the stream, because you guys are special to me. And, my dear, it is mighty warm in here. I think it's about 84 in the house right now. I know that's not crazy hot, but it's enough that when I get worked up and I'm in pain and I'm wrapped in all these mummy layers, it adds up. Also, Prasad K, thank you so much. Is that yen, or no, it's not yen. Is that Korean? What is that? Taiwanese? I don't even know what form this is. Oh, it doesn't let me select it. But thank you so much, Prasad. I really do appreciate that, whatever currency that is. I wish I knew. Also, Pale Stripe, do you have tips on keeping Siloaceae shrimp? I have snow zebras and just received cardinal Siloaceae. Both breed readily given the right condition. They do, but slower than your Neocaridina. Nothing is going to be as blow your socks off easy as Neocaridina, quite frankly. Neocaridina are so easy because they've also been selected for in the hobby by hobbyists, by the average of whatever country you're in, even too, by your local breeders for your water, and if you get them locally. If you get them internationally, they've been selected for ruggedness, hardiness, and for making it 3 days in a container, getting jostled around, the heat changing, going too hot, too cold, being attacked by other shrimp. I mean, they have a rough go of things. But cardinal shrimp are incredible. They're from Lake Poso or Mata or Paso, or a number of, I think there's, hold on, let me shut this thing up. It's beeping at me, but I still have pressure, so it shouldn't be beeping at me. But they have a number of lakes that are interconnected on the island of Sulawesi and are alkaline. So they're very, very alkaline, non-acidic waters, which is odd because bee shrimp, Taiwan bees, crystal shrimp, bolts like green hulk or blue bolt, all of those kind of things, they're all gonna be softwater loving shrimp. Now, Neocaridina are one that can stand hardness in their water because they live in karst or limestone bedrock with rainwater. So the rainwater ends up being very soft, usually ends up being acidic because of the plants and leaves there. But over time, the bedrock and the rocks in the stream leach carbonate and they make it slightly alkaline. So like 7.5 with a bit of minerality, or even still slightly acidic, but with some minerals kind of buffering that, is where your neocaridinas are going to like it. But your shrimp for the Sulawesi shrimp from the island have a very specific parameter of like 8.6, if I recall, being the pH. But not only that, they need the right salinity and magnesium and whatever. So you need to get something like salty shrimp, or something like a salt for the island of Sulawesi for those 64 species of shrimp that live there. Because there are a number of lines that people have worked with from there, like the Singapore blue flower shrimp, not the fan shrimp, but there's another one called the Singapore blue or Singapore flower shrimp. And there's also like one called the willow and another one called the bloody cardinal, which is like the same polka dotted white dots on a cardinal, but it's a darker red. So anyways, there's these subtle variations that over the last 10 to 15 years, people have finally worked with them and domesticated them to some degree. Those are getting tougher and tougher. The cardinal ones and the snowball or snow white, as they're sometimes called, and the zebras, the bobaltes, those are all also getting a lot tougher. Same with the pink bobaltes, the purple bobaltes, and the green bobaltes are getting a lot tougher in domestic lines. Other than that, though, you need to have exactly kind of what that special ecosystem and biotope is for those shrimp. But they will breed at the rate that they breed at in the wild, which is about, I believe, from what I've been told, people like Chris Lukoff and things, that's probably closer to like 2 or 3 batches of babies a year rather than like 4 to 6 that a neocaridina can have, and smaller batches too. And there's different species within the island of Sulawesi. Those shrimp that I have are from the island of Sulawesi, but they're not from those lakes that have that alkaline environment. They're from a very neutral to acidic environment of the flash flood and mountainous streams that are year-round dripping from the humidity of the elevation on the island. So that's why the Malua shrimp do so well, is because they're literally living sometimes in rainwater puddles where the acidity could be 4. I mean, it could be like Coca-Cola black water. And admittedly, they can't change their exoskeleton when that happens. They're trapped, and it is eroding their exoskeleton, in fact. But if they hang tight long enough, it'll rain, and water that has been in contact with the rock or like a shelf or a hillside farther up the mountain will percolate down through the mud or the hillside or the plants and everything. And that minerality will come and fill up that puddle, and just because it's so humid, it's humid enough for humidity to drip water in that forest. Well, it's also so hot and humid, 90 degrees to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, right on the equator down there in Sulawesi, Borneo, in some of these places, that you're going to actually then have evaporation going on too. Very little extra energy is needed to push those molecules in the water to become airborne and basically steam. They can evaporate, which is essentially them breaking loose. A few every day will break loose just because. But steam is when you apply energy, and the energy is so much that they can't do anything, they can't hold on to one another, and they break loose and become independent molecules, and then they're so light alone that they float off in our atmosphere of gases. But anyways, sorry guys, I got caught up on answering that one. But yeah, the thing is, look, do the research on here about those specific shrimp that you love, and if they're from Sulawesi, try to get them on a good diet. Grant Eater is the guy that I would trust more than anyone with those, and he has a channel called TGOE Shrimps, the Garden of Eater Shrimps. It's the initials for that. If you just type in Grant Eater, EDER, Grant or Shelby Eater, he has over 600 aquariums in his house, and it's like a 1,200 square foot house in Florida. It's a normal house, and this insane man and his wife, lovely people, and their kids. Every room is aquariums from floor to ceiling. I've done a tour there too, if you're interested. They've added them. Literally, they have vaulted ceilings now, and they have them even going to the corner of. It's insanity. But shrimp is what he's all about. Andy has a pool. Andy has 120 bins around his yard that are those big IBC totes that he keeps shrimp into. He knows a thing or two about shrimp. He definitely has the most domestic shrimp of any individual. Beverly Ballard, what's up? Good to see you. Oscar Ozaden, hello. Cara C, always good to see you too. Fish Dad, I said hi to you earlier. Wicked Freaking Aquatic, so good. Oh, you got your isopods from the Garden of Eater. Speak of the devil. TGOE, yes, he has ponds as well, totally. His entire 9-foot deep pool, 9 feet in one end, 5 feet in the other end, or 4 feet in the other end, and it's maybe 20 feet long or 25 feet long and about 12 feet across. That's also filled with fish and plants and stuff. And plus he has it's insanity. The man is insane. Love it, but it's insanity. It's so cool. And he's just in a suburb of Florida. You would have no idea that this guy, you open it up and it's more gallons than a lot of literal public aquariums. Pothos is a plant where you can grow have I seen an Inca stone cichlid? I don't know which one you're talking about necessarily. Are you talking about Mayan cichlids, or are you talking about like an Inca benchi, like the Apisto grama species? Or are you talking about something else that's a Central American one called an Inca stone cichlid? There's the stone rollers, and then we also have the Geophagus species, which means like earth eating or earth sand eating. Sorry, I'm pausing that. Oh, you headed out, Asya? Okay, have a great night. Robert, I've seen that tour. I don't know how they reach the high ones. They need a library. I know, right? Robert, they totally do need one of those, a library system where you like slide across the 2-story ladder to go get books from the Oxford or Cambridge library. Very cool. But they do need something like that. I think they set something up like that, to be honest. I can't remember though. 9 Cory, 16 platies, 4 Chinese algae eaters, and 8 plants? Interesting. Cool. Hey, Joey. Oh, gotta go. All right, Beverly, have a good one. All right, let's see. What else did I miss that somebody asked recently? So I need to get those uh, isopods out to you guys. I still have the emails of anybody who emailed me, so I'll check in with you guys once I can get a ride, like I said, back up and the logistics of it. Like, I am walking now. I'm still not supposed to technically drive since I just got freed up with my leg. Can you guys hear how angry this stupid thing is at me now? It's like, well, I have pictures last night, 2 nights ago when I first got this thing, and the cat was hissing at it, and the cat was like so mad at this thing, because it also like puffs out a bit of like air from it pressurizing, and she was hissing at it, and she bit it, and she swatted it with her paws, and then she like all of a sudden realized that it was making like a nice little vibrating humming noise, and she started to like brush against it and then like rub on it harder, and then all of a sudden she curls up and falls asleep with it like it's a mama cat. This machine just sitting on the counter while I was working on researching a video for y'all. Hey Alex, do you know if Autosynclus, Corridoras, cherry shrimp, Culiloches, and zebradanias, neon tetras will be fine together? Oh yeah, you should be fine. The Culiloches, the Autosynclus, the Corridors, yeah, everything should be fine in there. The Culiloches and like the Corridoras and even the zebradanios may in theory try to eat some brand new baby shrimp, but if you have it well planted, if you have rocks and places for them to hide, then they'll be fine. They'll be totally fine, and it'll be beautiful. You'll have a great setup there. But like my tanks, add a lot of plants, not just a lot of plants, you know? Give them lots of fine plants to hide amongst. Also, my cribs will spawn in a crowded, densely planted 40 gallon. They've been coloring up and acting excited. Cribs will spawn in community tanks. The trick is, a lot of times it's, hold on guys, sorry, this stupid thing is beeping at me. And, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Let's see here. Oh, the battery's getting low. It's mad at me for that. Anyways, so let me just silence it. So, yeah, the cribs will have babies. Shrimp are great for them. Isopods will actually clean their eggs. But snails are tricky. They can get into a lot of eggs of a lot of critters, and they do not judiciously just clean eggs. They'll eat every egg they can, as will other fish. But with cribs, they don't seem to be good at recognizing little snails. I don't know if there just aren't a ton of little snails in Africa where they live in those areas, or what the deal is. But yeah, that is interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that too. And what else was I gonna say to you guys? I think that was about it for that question. But yeah, I would say move them once they have babies. If you don't get them to have babies in the next month or two, and they're still doing their dancing, they're still showing off and doing the shimmy where they shake sideways and they like vibrate and gyrate in front of each other, and they're all colored up, then get them in their own area. But make sure they just have a cave or a rock overhang or something. And they'll spawn. They might need a couple goes at it. A lot of cichlids don't get it right their first time, and they need to try a couple times. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Most houseplants you can just buy cheap at the garden center, rinse off soil and the roots, and use in the water. For some time, Mike, definitely that's like you can do that with a lot of plants for a while. Some plants don't like that plan long term, you know. Obviously, like a carrot is not going to taste so great. It's going to rot. The tuber's going to get nasty. But like a bulb plant, certain bulb plants you can do that with, like lilies and lotus, indefinitely. You can do that with like a watercress or hornwort or hygrophilas, hydrocotyls. Any of those things you can do that with no problem. A lot of the tropical plants are okay with water because they flood a certain amount of the year, or it's so humid where they are that they're very rot resistant. And sometimes the air is so super saturated with water that it's almost like being underwater. So they've evolved mechanisms to being in such a wet environment, even if they're really not aquatic plants. So that's why you can stick the roots in for nutrients and water and have them extract that from your system if you got light on those plants outside the tank still. Alex, do you know? Okay, yeah. So they'll do good in your tank. You really don't like this live format as much, Beto says. I know, no one does, and we don't do it that often, but it does allow people to get the alert for the live stream that no one would normally get. And so we have a lot of folks that see the alert and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know you still did live streams. It's been 5 years." So I like to do it once in a while, but I do know that this portrait style is annoying, and I can't do the link screen or shared screen. Cassandra, Assyria, sorry, I butchered that. Assyriana. I actually have a question tonight. I've been puzzling over my male checkerboard cichlid. So there's 9 species of those, but I'm going to assume you have the filamentosis. Tank parameters are good, and I've been checking daily, but he's been scooting around the bottom of the tank. That's okay. Usually they usually do hang out very low and to the bottom of the tank. He may be looking for a territory or a nesting spot. Now they are very, very social. Those checkerboard cichlids generally want like 5, 6, 10, 20 individuals. At minimum, I'd say 5 is like ideal. You can have a pair, you can. I've done it when I've adopted them from folks and stuff. And I had a pair, and then I went and got 3 more for them in my other tank in the other room. So, yeah, I mean, but mine hang out at the bottom quite a bit. Just keep an eye on their belly size. Make sure they're not like not feeding at all and try to see if they're eating. But if you don't see anything else wrong yet, it's really hard to say it's anything other than just territorial, maybe being a little stressed. So I hope that's what it is. All right, almost like he can't swim up. He did it for a few days, so I removed him to a hospital tank. I'm dosing Maricin and really unsure what's up. He doesn't look injured, and he's still eating. It could be a swim bladder issue. He could have an issue with coming to the top with going up because of that. Does he try to swim up and he just stays where he's at? And if you put him in a deeper tank, do you see that he goes all the way to the bottom? I mean, don't worry about doing that. But anyways, it's probably either a swim bladder thing, but it's not a bad idea to move him to his own tank. If you treat him for gram positive issues, that's okay. There are some that are external issues and things, but you might want to do gram negative also when it's an internal issue like that. I mean, there's not a clear line like that. They both treat a broader spectrum than I'm making it sound like. But you may want to try gram negative if the gram positive doesn't work out, and if you don't see any other side effects, um, if you're really worried about it. Now, that being said, it could just need time, and maybe medication is stressing it out more. Just feed it good and just leave it, kind of leave it be. Keep it in clean water. Keep the oxygenation high since it can't go to the top and gulp like other fish can. Keeping that water oxygen rich and moving, low in nitrates, those are going to be your big health points, is really just keeping it comfortable, keeping it able to just sit there. And if it wants to just sit there and gulp, it should be, very healthy and happy to do so. Then it can heal up. That's my opinion. You can keep male bettas together along with other fish, and they will do just fine. I've done this. Yeah, Joey, I have kept bettas together. You do need to know what you're doing a bit, ideally, or they may fight. But especially wild bettas, there are so many species of bettas. There are 98 recognized species of bettas. Actually, there might be 99 as of last month. I think so, with the Ipsis one, or however you say that, from the Persephone or Persephone, Persephone, being split into 2, but and the Waware one. So, anyways, there's a lot out there, but of the domestic bettas, watch my video. If on bettas being kept together, it can be done. You should know your fish. It's not always a great idea for with beginners, but if they are born together and they're growing up as fry and you keep them in a big group together, there almost won't be. There's almost guaranteed to be no serious injury type aggression. Just maybe a chase here or there, like any fish do, until they're making nests and trying to pair off. And even then, siblings kind of keep it nice and friendly until the last minute. It makes a big difference if they're all raised together. But breaking up the lines of sight, having it well planted, and giving them each male having yay amount of surface area for themselves in the tank, especially corners or a log or something where it feels like it can be backed into a little kind of den and protect that area. That's really what will avoid the fights. And then when you know you have a trouble starter, I did not hear an earthquake happened, honey. Do you know about this earthquake? Apparently, somebody says there's a tsunami headed for Hawaii.
There's a tsunami.
What?
There's a tsunami alert.
Like a big deal, or were they just like meh?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, my wife doesn't seem to care. Sorry, Hawaii. I'll see you guys later. The West Coast is also under tsunami alert. 8.7? That is huge. Whoa. Whoa. That is a huge earthquake. Are you guys for real? I'll have to check that out. I'm actually going to get off of here soon. Yeah, Morrison 2 is probably what you could give Canaplex a try. Uh, yeah. I'm in Seattle. Not that I'm worried about the tsunami really, but that an 8.7 is a bigger earthquake than we've had in a lot of years, other than Chile and Alaska. I think they had a 9.2 and a 9.1 or something. But I mean, it's been 70 years since anything in the high eights, other than those two and the other one in Chile and art. There was one in Chile or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's big though. So go check if you live in anywhere on the Pacific Ocean. Go check. CNN says 8.8. Hello. Okay, that is a big earthquake, and that is big enough to do crazy huge tsunami if it did things. Everything went wrong. So I hope you guys. Uh, Mike, thanks. Alex, you really know your earthquake history. Yes, that is correct. Um, I'm big on trivial facts that are useless to my daily life, honestly. If I could play Jeopardy for a living, maybe it would work out better. But no, I have a weird fish channel that I have a bunch of random other trivial knowledge about too. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get going because my foot's really hurting. My wife's home, and I kind of am curious about this tsunami alert, and I hope everybody's okay with that big of an earthquake in Russia. Probably not everyone's okay, but Russia's pretty sparsely populated on that side, on the east side. So hopefully it was really in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. All right, you guys. But thank you for joining me. I did have a fun time chatting with you, showing you the two community tanks. I was going to show you the back room and stuff tonight too, show you some updates on my little loaches and stuff. But we'll do that soon and when I don't have to stand. Much love to you guys. Amy, good to see you. JK, Fingerman, what's up? Ben Steele, Fishcapades, I see you all. Lush and Salty, I see you too. So I hope you all have a beautiful evening. And yeah, I'm going to get off my feet, but have a wonderful night. Robert, Josh, all y'all, thank you for the support. Thank you for hanging out. And Fish Dad, thank you as well. Joey, thank you. I will talk to you guys for sure on Friday, hopefully. I mean, that's always the plan. And, sometimes I do a pop up here or there. If I can't get a video drop ready, I'll try to do a pop up because I want to be at least on here 3 times a week interacting with y'all. Ideally, it's have a video or 2 uploaded and 2 live streams uploaded every week. But I do what I can when I'm not feeling top notch. So I love you all and have a good night. Be safe. Love the fish you're with and take care. All right, guys. Because there's a road and